This is the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on January 20th, 2012. Our time is 8:45 Mountain, 10:45 Eastern. Our radio show runs on AM 640 in Toronto, 630 CHED in Edmonton. If you ever miss a radio show, you can listen to them archived at HESradio.com, HESradio.com, or Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have breaking news as we start our show. Harold's website, brand new website, hsfineauctions.com, had an auction last Monday. Later on in the show, we will have breaking news from that auction. You won't want to miss hearing what Harold has to say. Breaking news on that. In our newsletter this week, if you'd like to receive it, give us a call, 1-866-623-2002, or go to wwpmc.com, wwpmc.com, or 1-866-623-2002 to get our newsletter sent to you free of charge via email every week in the newsletter. We have asset performance for 2012. Silver is up about 10% for the year so far, and gold is up about 6%. And Harold, we have a story in the newsletter. Fed's latest easing could cost $1 trillion. Economists are saying that they believe the Federal Reserve will step in and do $1 trillion worth of quantitative easing. And if that happens, the numbers for silver and gold will be a lot higher than 10 and 6%. It will be substantially higher when they step into the market and start doing more quantitative easing 3, without a doubt.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, and that's obviously extremely good news if you're in the hard asset market like gold and silver. But all in all, Monday was a holiday, so the markets were a little slow. A lot of people still getting back, to work and getting back into the action type of thing. But gold is up as we're taping the show right now, $350. We're actually at a very good level in gold. We're at $16.61 right now, with support at around 16 and a quarter. So the market's well above its support level and looking much stronger. I'm actually very pleased with what's happening with the gold and silver market so far this year. Silver market's up 22 points as we're taping the show. We're up to $31. So the thing is that where the support in the silver market was at $25 and $26 before, it's now up to $27 to $27.50. So I think that silver's looking a lot stronger. Gold is certainly looking a lot stronger. Oil's trading right at around $100. Very bullish on oil. The U.S. dollar's trading at 80 cents. It was up to almost 82. It came down a bit this week, and the Canadian dollar's trading back up at 98 cents. So we're almost at par with the U.S. dollar. As we're going to move forward, going into the first quarter and first half of the new year, there's so many situations out there that could affect the markets. We're looking at Europe, obviously, with the sovereign debt situation, but that's a long-term situation. It's not going to get settled over the short term. One day the deal's on, the next day the deal's off. So at this particular point, let's just put aside the European issues, because nothing is really going to solve the short-term situation. So again, we're just going to see, bantering back and forth, and I really don't think anything is going to happen in Europe short term. The U.S. is in just as bad a situation as Europe. However, this is an election year coming up, so it's meant to make things look a lot better than what they really are. So let's put aside all the devastating situations happening in the United States, except what Randy just brought up just now, which is quantitative easing 3, which is coming up, and that could be coming up either in January or February, and that would really set the markets rallying. In fact, the last time QE2 happened, we had a massive rally in gold and silver, and I mean a massive rally, and actually stocks went up at that point also, because what's going to happen is they're going to put about $1 trillion back into the economy. And they're going to try to boost the economy and try to somehow get the housing sector back on track, but that's not going to happen. The housing sector in the United States is still going to drop. I think it's still going to drop about another 20 to 25% in certain areas from where it is at this particular point. So, again, we're looking at a situation where the housing industry is not going to get better. There's just way too many foreclosures, and there's still a ton of these subprime loans out there. So we do anticipate that the price of housing in the United States is still going to drop substantially, even though they're going to try to put $1 trillion back into the market. Again, by putting $1 trillion into the market, why is it bullish for gold and silver? Because of the sheer amount of money that needs to be printed. $1 trillion, we hear it every day now. We hear that the U.S. is in debt for 15 or 16 trillion, that Italy is in debt for 3 trillion, and all these numbers. The fact is $1 trillion is such a massive amount of money that we treat it like it's $1 million type of thing. So you're going to see that printing that kind of money to put back into the economy is going to be very, very bullish for us in hard assets, especially, for the gold and silver market. Now, where we were very concerned going into the last quarter and the first quarter of this year, with the gold and silver market, where it could have taken, a fairly heavy tumble down to possibly, $22 or $23 in silver and possibly about $1,500 to $1,400 in gold. I think that those fears are out of the market at this point. In fact, we're building a very, very strong base, and I do believe that this is going to be an amazing year. We did make our predictions for the beginning of the year, and we're sticking with them at this time, looking that gold is going to hit a minimum of $2,200 to a possible $2,500 on the upside. So we're looking for possibly a huge move coming in gold this year, and again, it's building a strong base at $1,660 as we speak. The silver market also. Silver could literally double this year. Silver's right now trading at $31. We're predicting that silver will retest the $50 level sometime this year, and if things get as bullish as we feel it will, we could hit a high of at least 60 to 65, which would literally double the price of silver from where it is right now. I feel it's fairly safe to go back into the silver and gold markets at this point. In fact, I very strongly recommend it because there's a couple factors out there that could move this market overnight, and we could see massive moves coming in gold and silver, oil, currencies, and diamonds this year, and you don't want to be out of the market. So, what is the major situation at this point here that's going to move the markets? In my opinion, it's what's happening in Iran and in the Middle East. And that's the biggest concern that I think that we need to concentrate on at this point. And let me just bring you up to date as to what's happening in Iran and why I feel that this is actually the major number one situation at this point over the short term that is going to wreak havoc on the markets and possibly bring the price of gold and silver, to double the levels that they're at right now and bring oil up to $200 to $250 over the short term. Obviously, we've been following and concerned about Iran's stance and situation on their nuclear weapons and the nuclear plants that they're building. And basically, Iran has thumbed their nose at everybody, the United States and Europe and everybody else. They have the support of China and Russia, which is very concerning because obviously they're two major powerhouses. But here's what's happening in Iran. The U.S. has brought sanctions against Iran. And evidently, these sanctions are taking effect in a devastating way. In fact, what is happening at this point is their currency is plummeting. Their currency since December, which is the real, has plummeted by 50% to 55%, bringing on inflation of, listen to this, of 20% a month, according to the central bank. Now, the real has been falling for almost a year, but the latest drop appeared to be triggered by a recent U.S. announcement that it would penalize companies that do business with Iran's central bank and a proposed plan to ban Iran oil purchases in the European Union later this year. The real was changing hands at 16 to 17,000 in recent days, down from 11 to 12,000 in December. There's your 40 to 50% increase, or decrease in the value of the real. Now, it's really hurting their economy tremendously, and the fact is that it is going to wreak havoc on Iran's economy. Can you imagine 250% inflation, 20% a month, and your currency is absolutely plummeting? What they're doing in Iran right now is raising interest rates to try to level things off, but the black market for the U.S. dollars is extremely strong in Iran, and it's going to cause some massive problems. So let's just analyze this situation and see how it's going to affect us. We've got two situations that I could possibly see. Number one, the U.S. has brought sanctions against Iran that are bringing them to their knees at this point. So there's two decisions that Iran is going to make. Either they're going to buckle under the pressure and say that they're going to destroy all their nuclear plants and everything that they've built over the last 5 or 6 years and just totally scrap that and be good boys now. Or they're going to get aggressive, They're going to get mad because we know that they hate the U.S. and all of the West. And are they going to cut off the strait? Are they going to mine the strait with mines and start a war in the Middle East? So what do you think is going to happen? Is Iran going to all of a sudden say, okay, fine, you beat us, we're going to be good and we're going to eliminate everything that we've worked on? Or are they going to take a more powerful stance and a more aggressive stance and actually start to mine the Strait of Hormuz and go to war? Whatever decision is going to happen, my gut feeling is, and I'd say it's 90%, that Iran is not going to buckle under to the United States. The hate is there. The fact is that they've been running these war games in the Strait of Hormuz for a few months now, and I think they're gearing up for a war, and that's what we think is going to happen. Basically, a 75 to 80% chance that there's going to be a war in the Middle East led on by Iran. Now, Iran has ways of getting the job done, believe me. When they put mines in the Strait of Hormuz, the oil companies and the insurance companies that actually insure these freighters that carry all this oil, which is worth billions of dollars, there's just no way in the world that they're going to insure these tankers when there's mines in there. So what the United States is going to do is they've got their warships and they've got these minesweepers in the Indian Ocean as we speak, heading towards the Persian Gulf and heading towards the Strait of Hormuz. And basically, if Iran does mine these straits, then you're going to see these minesweepers come in, and that's going to be an act of war. And what's going to happen at that point, and I've seen this happen before, is Iran has a way of attacking these ships. They don't have the massive fighting ships that the U.S. and England has and Britain has, but what they do have are these very small speedboats that are suicide bombers, and they'll just smash them and crash them into these tankers and into everything and wreak havoc on the oil markets, and you'll see oil possibly go to $200 to $300. So this is what's coming up. This is what we need to be geared up for. So if you are not in the gold, silver, and diamond market at this point, my strongest recommendation is get in there before this happens, and this could happen at almost any time. In fact, we could wake up tomorrow morning and find out that this has happened, and then you're going to start chasing the markets. We don't want to do that. I recommend buying physical gold, paid for gold, silver at these levels. I think they're tremendous buys. Don't forget, we've had gold at $1,900 and we've had silver at $50. I think $31 silver is a tremendous buy, and so is gold at $16.60. Oil at this level too at 100, I think is a good buy. And if you wanted to buy oil, I did a little research, and there is an ETF, an exchange traded fund called USO, and that's more than likely the oil ETF that you would like to buy. You can even put that in your retirement savings plan if you want to. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. If Iran does do what I think they're going to do, we could wake up in the morning and oil could be at $2 to $2.50. If that does happen, from experience, you want to sell your oil immediately and take your profits, then sit back and let the market start to readjust itself. Because I've seen this when it happened with Iraq and Kuwait, and I've seen this 2 or 3 times. The market reacts overnight, and then it sells off the next day. So, again, I'll certainly keep you advised, but don't forget we only have the radio show once a week. So if something like this is happening, do not hesitate to call the office to speak to me personally, because, again, this is extremely important. We have an opportunity to do extremely well. Where most of the world is in dire straits financially, if we do the right thing at this particular point, we have a very good opportunity to come out of this doing extremely well. My strongest recommendations are to be in gold, silver, oil, and diamonds, and those are the areas that are going to do the best over the next 5 years. In fact, while most other investors are dealing with paper assets and stocks and having their issues, I truly believe that over the next 5 years, we could do extremely well. I'm looking for diamonds to go up 400 to 500%. I'm looking for gold and silver to double and triple and quadruple over those 5 years. I'm looking for oil to go to $200 to $300. We're looking for the U.S. dollar to fall substantially and the Canadian dollar to strengthen. So again, we're in a good situation right now. Things are starting to kick in. Again, we want to put aside the sovereign debt situation in Europe. That's not going to affect us over the short term. There's an election year coming up in the United States. Things are meant to look better, but they're not. Believe me, things are horrible in the U.S., and the middle class is getting crushed. However, when they come out with QE3 and put that in combination with a potential war in the Middle East, I could literally see gold not only going to $2,500 this year, but possibly even surpassing that. So again, That's what we're saying at this time. I think things are starting to heat up. I think the gold and silver markets are looking more stable, and I have no problems buying substantially into silver at $31. And again, I am anticipating, and we'll talk about it on the second half of the show, but we're looking over the next 4 to 5 years at a 500% increase in the price of our diamonds. So we're very, very excited for our clients. And again, that's the way I see the markets at this particular point, Randy.
Coming up in the second half of the show, we will have breaking news. hsfineauctions.com had an auction on Monday, and we have breaking news from that auction the second half of the show. Harold recommends only one company when it comes to investing in precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, that is Worldwide Precious Metals. They've been in business over 10 years, the entire time this bull market has been going on. Give them a chance to earn your business. They're the experts in this very specialized field. That's who you want to deal with, somebody who can help you manage, obviously, the upside and the downside. Start your own precious metals investment account today by calling 1-866-623-2002. 1-866-623-2002. The website is wwpmc.com. There are companies that have started up during this bull market recently, and a lot of them are going away. Deal with a company that is a solid Canadian company in business for over 10 years. That's Worldwide Precious Metals. The telephone number 1-866-623-2002. Their website, wwpmc.com. Get your name on the list for our free weekly newsletter we send out via email. It is a must-read every week. A lot of it we can't get to on the show since it's only an hour. You can get through it in about 10 to 15 minutes, and you're going to be up to date as to what's happening in the financial world. Interesting story in the silver section of our newsletter. Casey Research had this story. Andrei Dashkov had an article called, "When Will Silver Make a New High?" And he says, if there's anything that sticks out from the bird's eye view over the past 10 years of data, it's that corrections in silver are normal. And just as obvious is the fact that corrections end. As with gold, the silver bull market is far from over, regardless of any weakness we may be seeing in the near term. Don't be the impatient investor who gives up too early. And trying to time the market for a short-term profit shouldn't be the strategy in the midst of a long-term bull market. Instead, keep silver's fundamentals in mind. Its industrial uses are growing and, like gold, silver is money. That said, we believe that the window for buying silver at $30 won't be open for too long. The profit you someday realize from silver will be made buying now. When the price is low, there is a chart in our newsletter that they have to go along with this story, and it shows past corrections. I would encourage you to read it over. Get our newsletter by calling 1-866-623-2002, the website wwpmc.com. Another article I thought was very powerful in the gold section of our newsletter from Egon von Greyerz, and he is out of Switzerland, and he talks about silver shortages and gold to accelerate higher. He said, when asked about the recent action in gold, we like the action, and it's exactly what we've been predicting. My view is that we have bottomed, and we are on the way to much higher levels. We are seeing a bit of sideways action here, and it's sideways to upward, and I think that will continue. I like the pace, the fact that it's not going up too fast, but I think we will see an acceleration to the upside in short order. This is the important part that I wanted to bring to your attention here now. Central bankers don't understand gold. Most of them don't understand why they have it. If you listen to Fed Chairman Bernanke, he does not have a clue as to why the U.S. has it. As a matter of fact, as you know, he probably doesn't have it anyway. The U.S. simply doesn't have the 8,100 tons of gold they say they possess. So the West doesn't understand gold. The West has sold most of their holdings. There is only one game for Western central bankers, and that is staying in power and therefore printing more money. That's the only game they know, and gold doesn't really play a role in that game. Gold will play a role in the future when they realize that paper money is worthless, but at that point, we will not see these present governments in power. The East, they understand gold. China understands gold. India understands gold. But the West, sadly, the trend will continue. Individuals will become more and more aware of the fact that gold is the only way to protect them from what is going to happen. But at this point, of course, it's only a very, very small minority that understands that. That will change as we go further along in this cycle. Last night on CNN, they had the Republican debate out of South Carolina. And I did take the time to watch it, even though I'm a Canadian. I find it interesting, U.S. politics. And Ron Paul brought up some very good points, Harold, and he was basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that everything is going to collapse unless the United States gets its monetary policy under control, unless they go to sound money principles. Things are going to collapse. It's that simple. He said it in different ways more than a couple of times, I think 2 or 3 times during that debate, but no one seems to listen. And we have about 2 minutes left here in our segment. My personal belief is, and we'll talk about it a little later in the show, but what's coming is a massive debt crisis. The debt crisis is going to cripple the United States. We're seeing it hamper the sovereign debt situation in Europe as well. The only way out of it, as Jim Sinclair says, is quantitative easing to infinity. And for those in hard assets, Harold, we will do very, very well.
You better believe it. Again, it's only a delay as far as U.S. goes, and don't forget, with an election coming up, they're trying to make things look like it's going a lot better, but it really isn't. Ron Paul would be a very good candidate. Unfortunately, as you said before, most Americans don't understand, gold and the reason for it, and Ron Paul does. The unfortunate thing is that he's not going to win this election or win the Republican election. It looks to me like Mitt Romney will, and it certainly appears to me, believe it or not, with all the money that he has, that it's going to be very difficult to dethrone Obama, even though he's done such a horrendous job. I think with the money he has and the way things are going, I still think that he's going to be reelected, as much as most Americans don't want to hear that.
The telephone number to invest in precious metals. Harold recommends Worldwide Precious Metals. Their website, www.pmc.com. Telephone number, 1-866-623-2002. Speak with them. Give them a chance to earn your business. Hear what they have to say. Hear what they have to say about precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Start your own precious metals investment account today. Get our newsletter. In the newsletter, there is a section on the U.S. debt and deficit crisis. Doug Casey has an article, and he says the U.S. government is bankrupt. Everyone knows the U.S. government is bankrupt and has been for many years. And it is a very fascinating article with some charts as well. Give you an idea, right now, Illinois, and I've talked about this before, how we have states in the United States bankrupt and cities bankrupt like Detroit. Illinois has approximately $8.5 billion of unpaid bills that they have not paid. In the United States, the Congress, their benefits, they have added $674 billion to their pension gap. We talked about California with their pension gap of $500 billion. Where's the money going to come from? I think it either crashes or we're in a scenario where they crank up the printing presses, one of the two, and at that point you'll want to be in hard assets. The telephone number to invest in precious metals, 1-866-623-2002. We're going to come back with breaking news from Harold's auction, hsfineauctions.com. They had an auction on Monday. Breaking news as the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on January 20th, 2012. Our time right now is 9:10 Mountain, 11:10 Eastern. Radio show runs 6:30 CHAT in Edmonton, AM 640 in Toronto. If you ever miss a radio show, you can catch us online at hesradio.com or, as well, Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. To invest in precious metals, telephone number 1-866-623-2002, website www.pmc.com. RareColoredDiamonds.com is Harold's website for natural fancy colored diamonds. Our featured diamond of the week this week, when I saw it, it immediately put me in the mindset of a diamond that was sold at auction. But first, let me tell you about this diamond. The featured diamond this week is a 3.18 carat pear-cut fancy yellow internally flawless diamond. The pear-cut, and you will see it in the video that Harold has on his website. Go to the featured diamond section of his website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. You can see the video of the diamond going around and round. When you see this diamond, it is spectacular. In fact, it reminded me of last year, the world's largest fancy vivid yellow sold at auction. The 110.3 carat pear-shaped diamond called Sundrop sold for $10.9 million at Sotheby's. And this diamond is stunning and done in the almost exact, obviously smaller, but done in the exact same style. So if you'd like to have your own little Sundrop, very similar, smaller, talk to Harold about this featured diamond. It is stunning, to say the least. Now we get to our breaking news. hsfineauctions.com had a sale on Monday, an auction on Monday. And Harold, I'll let you pick it up from there on the Oprah pendant and how much it went for.
You bet. I couldn't be more proud because, about 2.5 years ago, we started working on HS Fine Auctions to build exactly that, a fine auction site that sold very high-end collectibles, mostly diamonds, and I built it for my clients to resell their diamonds down the road. Well, obviously, at this particular point, we wanted to kick the auctions off and kick off the auction site, and this is our third auction, and all of them have been extremely successful. The first auction that we did, actually, we sold 100% of the items that went up for bid, and the sellers were very happy with the returns. The people that bought the diamonds and the emeralds and rubies and gold pieces and everything were ecstatic with what they received, and the company, as a new company, did well. So it's unusual that in the situation everybody comes out of a transaction doing well, but that's the way I've always tried to run my businesses. The second auction that we did was also extremely successful, and we sold 80% of the items that were up there. If you compare that to other auction houses like Christie's and Sotheby's that sell less than 50% of theirs, again, we're extremely proud, but then again, there is nothing like this at all in existence. This is the only live, real-time auction site for very high-end collectibles, and when I decided to build this initially, I didn't want like an eBay type of site where there was no selling involved. So basically, when I sat down with the people at Relentless Technologies and I outlined what I wanted to accomplish, it had never, ever been done before. And these brilliant young people out of Vancouver, we built this amazing website, hsfineauctions.com, and we just had our third auction on Monday. The first item that went up for bid was actually an amazing 1 kilo Aztec calendar that sold for over $3,000, even though there's only $1,000 worth of intrinsic value. It's a numbered piece, and it was absolutely amazing. But the highlight of the actual auction was Oprah's Argyle Pink Diamond pendant. And Oprah last year, in 2011, took 100 people to Australia. And it was coming close to when she was ending her show, and she wanted to do something phenomenal. And she took 100 people to Australia, all expenses paid, and one of the highlights of the trip was a visit to the Argyle mine in Australia, Western Australia, where they produce the most beautiful pink diamonds in the world. Well, Oprah shocked these 100 people and decided to give to each one of them a pendant that she and Argyle had designed. It's in the O for Oprah, so that famous O, and it was at 1 1/4 carats of pure pink Argyle diamonds, and it was on a beautiful pendant and on a beautiful chain, and this magnificent piece sold for $35,000. It was the highlight of the auction. It was bid so ferociously, everybody wanted it, and it's a one-of-a-kind. Now, when I say a one-of-a-kind, there was only one available, and I was very fortunate to have actually bought this from somebody who just really needed the money. For her to have given up a gift given to her by Oprah was something that tugged at her heart and she didn't want to do, but needed the money desperately, and we gave her a very good price for it. So the Oprah pendant sold, and congratulations to the lucky person that ended up with that, because that was one of the number one pieces that was available. And again, it was so exciting to see how the whole process works. We're going to try to hold auctions every 2 weeks, and we bring to you not only these amazing pieces, but rubies, emeralds, and sapphires. They also do extremely well as investments. The rubies and sapphires that we showed on Monday's auction, they doubled in price from last year. So basically, looking at great investment stones, and again, very similar to diamonds in the extent that they do very well under these troubling times. But the highlight, aside from the Oprah necklace, was the 6 Argyle pink diamonds that all sold, including a vivid pink Argyle, the only vivid pink Argyle to come up for sale. So again, we're ecstatic about this. With the state of the world economy, with what's happening, what's going to happen very short term in Iran, what's happening in the U.S. and in Europe, and again what's happening in the Middle East, and with this quantitative easing 3, you need to be in the diamond market. The diamond market, we are anticipating increases in yellow flawless diamonds of up to 500% over the next 5 years. It's very similar to the market situation that we saw back in 79 and 80 when yellow flawless diamonds went up 500% in 2 years. We're saying that this will happen over the next 5 years because we know that the Federal Reserve in the U.S. is going to keep interest rates at 0 for the next 2 years and try to spur the economy. But that will bring on massive inflation, and with oil prices high and everything else going on and dollars being printed, there's absolutely no doubt, not only by myself but some of the most brilliant minds in the world, that we will be dealing with massive inflation. I mean, look what's happening in Iran. They've got 20% a month inflation now because of their currency, and don't think the same thing is not going to happen in the U.S. and in Europe. So, again, we've got to gear ourselves up for this, and to chase the markets after the fact doesn't make any sense. You want to be in gold and silver at these lower levels, and you want to put away some diamonds while you can still get them. The one thing about the auction site so far, there has not been a yellow flawless diamond up for sale yet. First of all, nobody wants to sell them. They know what the situation is. They're very, very difficult to get. They double every 4 years in price under normal market conditions, but again, during times of high inflation, the opportunity to make 500% on your money is real. It's happened before. It's going to happen again, and the diamonds that you want to buy are these yellow flawlesses. Now, they're very, very difficult to get. I just spent a fortune on rough yellow diamonds. They're being cut and polished and sent to GIA, and they're just starting to come out. So these are brand new flawless yellow diamonds, and I'm not trying to be a bad guy, but I built this auction site for my clients, and I guarantee 100% everything that is sold on that auction site. And I can't do that with other people's diamonds because I know that, the diamonds that we have, the yellow flawlesses, for example, are 8s, 9s, and 10s out of 10s. Anything under that we pass on, and those are what really goes to the competitors out there, and a lot of them go to Asia. But those are not diamonds that I would ever sell to my clients, so I would never resell those on my auction site. The only people that will be permitted to use our auction site to resell their diamonds are clients of ours, of rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And again, I built the site for you, for our Canadian clients that own these amazing diamonds. Again, over the next 5 years, we anticipate doing extremely well. We feel that we will see $20,000 diamonds today go to $100,000 over the next 5 years. The other thing that's exciting about that is that we also believe very strongly that within the next 4 to 5 years, interest rates in the U.S. and all over the world will start to rise substantially. And in the U.S., if interest rates do go back up to the 20% level that we believe that they will, just imagine cashing out of your gold, silver, and diamonds at that point and being able to put our money away at 20% in the bank. I believe that will happen. It's happened before under almost identical circumstances to what's happening now. So, again, we've got to gear ourselves up for that. Again, we're going to head into some very, very difficult times. All we need to do at this point here is to keep our heads about us, not get emotional, and be in the right markets. Every market has its time, and we want to be in the gold, silver, and diamond and oil markets over the next 5 years. That's where all the money is going to be made, and the reason that we're saying diamonds, they respond to inflation as well as gold and silver does. However, they're portable private wealth. You can travel with them. You can sell them in other currencies. Let's say the U.S. dollar fell substantially, and we wanted to sell these diamonds in Europe or in Asia for different currencies. We could definitely do that because I can conduct auctions all over the world with our new auction site. So we very strongly recommend, while you can still get them, yellow flawless, fancy yellow, fancy intense, and fancy vivids. look at them on our website. They're absolutely spectacular, and they're all in video, so you can see every aspect of the diamond. The 318 pear-shaped fancy yellow flawless diamond is so rare that only one diamond in 20 million is over 3 carats, and hardly any of them are yellow and flawless. This is a diamond that will literally take your breath away. It's huge, and it is a phenomenal investment, and diamonds of this size tend to go up much faster than almost any other asset because they're so extremely rare. So look at the featured diamond this week, and again, what I would recommend very strongly, if you're sitting in any stocks or mutual funds, again, I think that the markets are very, very dangerous at this point. You don't invest in mutual funds on U.S. companies when the U.S. is on the verge of bankruptcy, and you don't invest in Europe when they're on the verge of bankruptcy. We want to keep our money in safe assets. You want to own Canadian dollars, you want to own some gold and silver, and you want to own some diamonds, and that's going to get us through these extremely difficult times and put an awful lot of money back in our pocket. As I've always said, 90% of the money is made by 10% of the people, and all I care about is that my Canadian clients are in that 90% that make the money. We're going to come out of this doing extremely well. You know, the thing is that what chance does a small investor like us, we're not Warren Buffett's type of people. We're not billionaires here. You know, we're hard-working people that may have had a little bit of success, put away a little bit of money, and we want to do the right thing. The right thing is to be very conservative. Don't take unnecessary risks. The next 5 years are going to be very dangerous for most people. But again, if you're in the right assets, you're going to find that you're not going to have sleepless nights, and we're going to make the money that we're supposed to make. Gold, silver, oil, and diamonds is where you want to put your money going forward. And if you're not in those markets right now, I very strongly suggest you get in touch with us and learn how you can get involved in these markets. A $20,000 diamond could easily turn to $100,000 over the next 5 years. And again, they're very safe assets. They never, ever go down in price. The other diamonds that you want to own are Argyle pink diamonds. Again, the Argyle pendant, Oprah's pendant, sold for a beautiful amount. It's a beautiful piece. These pink diamonds are so rare and so beautiful and so sought after. They're actually the most sought after investment diamonds that there is, and there's hardly any available. In fact, the mine is going to close more than likely within the next 4 to 6 years. That means that we put these diamonds away, these Argyle pinks, for the next 6 to 8 years, and we could be looking at 8 to 10 times our money back. And that's what we saw with blue diamonds, and that's what we're starting to see with pink diamonds. This is starting to happen right in front of our face. There are so few of these diamonds available, and Argyle's production last quarter was down by 7%. That means there's less and less of these diamonds available at a time when more and more people want them. We are the largest dealers of Argyle pink diamonds in the world. We sell more Argyle pink diamonds than anybody, but that's only percentage-wise. If you laid your hand out flat and they poured the entire year's supply of Argyle pink diamonds in your hand, it would barely cover the palm of your hand. But these diamonds go up by at least 25% a year. The closer we get to the mine closing down, these diamonds will take on a life of their own, and we'll start to see 200, 300, 400% increases in these diamonds. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again, and it's almost an identical situation to what we're facing at this point. So again, I know it may not feel like it at this point for everybody. I know that we still go to restaurants on the weekends, and they're still busy, and things are still happening, and we're still doing business. This is not the same recession, depression situation that we saw back in the 30s, because there's still a ton of money out there. You know, when the markets fell from 2008, and the stock market plummeted and everything happened, when the Dow dropped in half, people still have money. There was people back then that had 50 million, now they're down to 5 or 10 million, but there's still a ton of money. There's people that had 5 million that are down to 1 million. They may not have as much as they had, but they still have money. The fact is that there's still a lot of money around, but we got to be smart about it, because we saw in 1999 the stock market and the dot-com markets plummet and took away almost everybody's money. We saw it again in 2008, identical. The markets fell in half and everybody lost most of their money, and we're getting ready for another scenario like that. Again, you don't invest in stocks and paper assets in countries that are going bankrupt. So again, I've got to reiterate, because if we do this right, we're going to come out of this doing extremely well and going to be able to take advantage of undervalued markets and extremely high real estate. You want to be in physical, gold, silver. You want to buy an oil ETF, which is USO for U.S. oil, and you also want to own some diamonds. Put away safe, You can cross borders with them. You can sell them in other currencies. They never go down in value, and they respond to inflation as well, if not better, than any other asset. And again, they're risk-free. So again, get in touch with us. Go to our website. We're going to be adding brand new diamonds that are just coming out of New York, the Gemological Institute of America, and these diamonds can literally save your financial life. I'm very excited about it, and again, we're extremely, extremely excited about HS Fine Auctions. It's never been done before. I took a big risk with it, but that's not unusual for me to do these type of things. The fact is that I've never been more proud of anything that I've ever built than this HS Fine Auctions business, and again, it's there for my clients to do well with. And again, I really appreciate everybody who attended the auction. We haven't even hardly advertised it yet, and we had 200 people participating in the auction last Monday. This site is so sophisticated that it could literally hold thousands of people. We are going to start to advertise it fairly soon, and it's going to be a gigantic business for our clients to take advantage of. Imagine being able to buy diamonds and resell them, buy other collectibles, and resell them at auction. It's one of the most fun things you could ever do. And I got to say, it's a little addicting. A lot of people are really loving it and having a lot of fun doing so. So very proud of it. We will certainly announce when the next auction is coming up. We're going to try to hold these auctions every 2 weeks.
Speak with Harold about diamonds. RareColoredDiamonds.com. RareColoredDiamonds.com. The telephone number 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. RareColoredDiamonds.com. And speak with him about the featured diamond of the week. You can see it in the featured diamond section of the newsletter, also online. It's a 3.18 carat pear-cut fancy yellow internally flawless diamond, and it is very similar to that Sundrop diamond that sold for $10.9 million at Sotheby's. RareColoredDiamonds.com, telephone number 1-800-432-1022. And go and take a look around Harold's website, hsfineauctions.com, and you can see the auction items from the last auction. And check in periodically, listen to the show. We'll keep you up to date as to when we're holding these auctions. To invest in precious metals, the telephone number, 1-866-623-2002, 1-866-623-2002. The company Harold recommends you use is Worldwide Precious Metals. Their website, wwpmc.com, wwpmc.com. The telephone number, 1-866-623-2002. Some things that we have not touched on during this show, and even in the last few weeks we haven't really focused on. In our newsletter, we have a sovereign debt section. And this is another reason you want to own hard assets. Fitch, the rating agency, came out and said, Greece to default. They believe, though, it will be orderly, which I find that very, very hard to believe. Also, Tosca Fund came out and said, Greece, the euro, they're going to exit the euro, and it's going to be catastrophic. They believe that it could provoke greater social unrest, Zimbabwe-style inflation, and a military coup. PIMCO's Bill Gross says Greece to default following downgrades. A lot of people very, very bearish on Greece. In fact, Ambrose Evans Pritchard wrote an article, The World Bank fears Europe's crisis could set off a deeper global slump than the Lehman Brothers collapse. And last Friday the 13th, we saw the S&P, the rating agency, cut 9 Eurozone nations their credit rating. And, it's just a situation where the United States, they have massive U.S. debt and deficit problems, as we've touched on. And then you have the sovereign debt issue. The housing market is still in a very, very difficult state. And in our newsletter this week, we have some information on jobs. And you add into the picture jobs, and it is the jobs numbers and what's happening in the United States with jobs. It is very, very, very serious. In fact, the pool of Americans relying on government benefits rose to record highs last year as an increasing share of families tapped aid in a weak economy. Some almost 50% of the population in the United States that lived in a household received some type of government benefit in the second quarter of 2010. That is a huge statement. In fact, the nation, the U.S., their long-term unemployment situation is very, very grim. As of December, nearly 3.9 million people had been without work for at least a year, and we're still looking. And you can see that story in our newsletter. And as well, Bloomberg had a story that few U.S. cities have actually recouped the jobs that they lost. More than 90% of U.S. metropolis areas have failed to recoup the job losses during the recession that ended, supposedly, they say, in 2009. It's a tough situation. And that's why, Harold, we come back to what we have in the newsletter, and that's that story on quantitative easing. Economists are predicting $1 trillion worth of quantitative easing will be coming from the U.S. Fed at some point, because they see that the same things that we see, and that is the housing market in trouble, jobs in trouble, you have a country in trouble, you have states and cities in trouble. It's a real financial mess in the United States, and if you watch the debates, the only person who's really talking about it is Ron Paul, getting back to sound money principles. Newt Gingrich did mention this week, actually, he was saying that we should actually, in the United States, the citizens of the United States should look at going back to the gold standard. But Ron Paul has been the leader on that, and people are starting to look at gold, Harold, as maybe the gold standard coming back, and it would not surprise me at some point the way the things are headed in the United States.
Yeah, that would be far-fetched, but the fact is that the problems are not going away. It's all caused by greed and stupidity. Nothing has changed. They're still using derivatives. They're still leveraging. The banks are leveraging 40 to 1, so are the stock firms. You know, the fact is that it's greedy and stupid. It's what caused the problems in 2008, and it's what's going to cause the problems in 2012, but on a much, much bigger level. So, again, the comparisons to Lehman are true. It almost brought down the whole financial markets in 2008, but we never learned anything from it because Wall Street is so greedy that that's all they want to do is make money, and it's not representative of what the rest of the United States is like. Like you said before, it's unfortunate the middle class and the people in the United States are suffering due to the fact of the greed and stupidity of the government and everything else going on. So, you know, it's going to be a very interesting year this year. Obama, I think, has about $1 billion in his war chest to be reelected. It's going to be very, very difficult for the Republicans to get back in, no matter how much everybody hates the economy and what's been done. Again, it's going to be very difficult to knock him out of the White House. But it's going to be a very interesting year because, you know, all these situations are hitting all at one time, and you know, they're trying to mask everything because it's an election year, and obviously they want things to look a lot better than what they really are.
Speak with Worldwide Precious Metals about investing in precious metals. 1-866-623-2002, their telephone number, the website wwpmc.com. Also connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. The telephone number to speak with him, 1-800-432-1022. And on the geopolitical front, we have about 2 minutes left in our show here. You know, in our newsletter, Russia says a strike on Iran would be catastrophic. Iran threatens the United States and Persian Gulf cities with missile attacks. Iran's UN envoy says closing the Strait of Hormuz is an option if threatened. One of the leaders of China coming out and saying that China completely rejects Iran developing nuclear weapons, but they want their oil. Iran has threatened the United States, the UK, and Israel after the assassination of a nuclear scientist. And as Harold touched on earlier, the Iranian currency and economy is collapsing under tighter U.S. trade sanctions. And it is just a real dicey situation. Harold, we have about 30 seconds left. Thanks for your knowledge again. Obviously, it's a time for hard assets, in our opinion.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Not only our opinion, but people that, you know, are brilliant. And again, we've been through these before. I've traded these markets back in the 70s and 80s, and, you know, it's not that much different than what we saw before. So we talk with confidence and we talk with experience. Again, you know, it's going to be a difficult year if you're not on the right side of the fence. All we need to do is shift our assets around to the areas that are going to help us out. I thank you very much for listening to our show. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very, very profitable day.
Speak with Harold about diamonds at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. The telephone number 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. Go take a look around hsfineauctions.com. Get set for the next auction. The website will keep you informed. Also, our radio show. And don't forget about investing in precious metals. The website is www.pmc.com. Telephone number 1-866-623-2002. If you'd like to receive our free weekly newsletter, speak with Worldwide or Harold Siegel. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.